and the masters of the universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender.
This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
I aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull."
Place to Be Nation Pop Experience. Welcome back. Is it Saturday morning? It's not, but guess what? It's time for some cartoons. I'm Andy Atherton here, back with you for Cartoons of Our Youth. I'm very excited about this episode because my guest is my first two-time guest on the show, but not a stranger to doing pods with me. He is kind of one of the people that pushed me toward this idea. Not that he pushed me into this idea, but it's one of those things like when you're just chit-chatting, whatever, when you're pre-showing on a pod, it's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And this person was like, you got to do that. He was all in on this. And so he's one of the reasons why this pod exists. So I have to give him credit on that. He's also one of my favorite people to do podcasts with. We're so close in age. We have so many things in common. My friend, everybody's friend here, and now one of the purveyors of his very own podcast feed, the one, the only, Shawn Kidd. Shawn, it is so great to be back talking with you on a pod, especially Cartoons of Our Youth.
Exactly. Andy, it's been, God, I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long time since we've done a pod together. I think maybe the last episode of Traders we did on the feed, which was a long time ago.
That comics pod we used to do?
I want to say, like, maybe it was last August, so I think we might be approaching almost about a year at this point, maybe. But really happy to be. Oh, that's right. We did do the Christmas. That's right. Yes. So, yeah, we did a Christmas. You're right. We'll do that every year because
that's a tradition that's never going away.
But no, it's good to be here. And when you reached out to me, you said, hey, do you want to do a cartoon pod? I would never say no to doing one of these, especially to your point. Like we have a lot in common, especially when it comes to generationally that we're the same. But when it comes to cartoons, we're the same. A lot of that. And yeah, we started our own feed, which we could talk about later. But yeah, really happy to be here. Glad you asked me to be here. And I'm glad to be doing it with you because it's, like I said, it's been far too long. So I'm very happy to be here.
No, we have a great time together. We can laugh, commiserate, bitch and moan, whatever. But
right.
It's so much fun to do pods. But, and because we're both kids of the 80s, so we're going to gravitate towards the, I don't know, not to steal another show, but not the Mount Rushmore, but maybe the Murderer's Row, the top, cartoons were such a big deal when we were kids because, and
especially in the year we're going to talk about because the first one we did together was the same year, by the way.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe.
Because it was such a thing because we didn't have streaming. Cable was still kind of new-ish. It wasn't really. We didn't have all the channels we have today. Stuff wasn't as accessible. So, and there was quite a difference. You had two kinds of cartoons, right? You had Saturday morning cartoons, which was more reserved for like younger kids and a few other things and some classics. But then you had the weekday afternoon cartoons, which was like more geared towards boys our age at the time, like those 9, 10, 12, 13 years old. And it was such a lineup in most of our areas. You had the one that we talked about on the first one, which was G.I. Joe. We had Transformers. You had Thundercats, Mask, like so many great cartoons.
Yeah.
And the one you picked for us to do. Now, if you looked at the show title and description, you know what we're talking about. But what's the one you picked for this one? Because I know this is not going to be the last time you're going to be on this show talking about a cartoon from the 80s. But which one are we going to do tonight?
All right. So I was thinking about, like, initially you and I had talked about maybe doing another one, which I'm sure at some point we're going to do that one. But for me, it's like I was thinking through G.I. Joe. I love how you frameworked it around afternoon versus Saturday because I feel like 1983 is right where they really started to hit their niche on the afternoon programs.
Oh, yeah.
Like G.I. Joe, for example, did this whole mini series, I think in like 82 that vetted out. In 83, it became a full-time afternoon show.
Oh, yes, where they were looking after the three elements. Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
so I think that was like a 5-episode mini series. That was the pilot, right? So 83 seemed to be like, this is where they're going to cook. And I was watching the Saturday morning. Saturday morning was always a staple. I'd be up at 6 a.m. and I'd watch freaking cartoons till noon. But then the afternoon after school, like, so 83, I'm trying to think, 83 would have been 10 years old. I'm not sure what the grade is at 10 years old, but it was tradition. You come home, you drop your shit off in the freaking kitchen, run to the living room, and you would sit there and you watch TV. Literally, cartoons were on from 3 until about 5. It was like a 2-hour block. And then sometimes I'd have to switch back and forth, like it was a Nitro or a Raw, because you had Fox, like our local channel, and you had 2 local channels. One was showing one set of cartoons in the afternoon, the other one was showing another set. So it was really hard sometimes to see it all. But tonight we're gonna do He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which. Listen, I'll be honest with you. The whole He-Man line of toys was always kind of messed up to me because they're pretty one-dimensional. But this cartoon series for me is just so wild. Like even from the intro to how they like cut through different scenes with the spinning sword and and then the Filmation, which we could talk about, is just such an interesting brand of animation because they steal like so many headshots and poses from like existing cartoons they did in the past, and you can now that you watch it and you're older, you can see it. And then the stories are really good, and it was like this whole like thing and this whole world of eternity. Like I just love this cartoon immensely, to the point of where it spun off into a Netflix show that you have today, which is actually very, very different, but also very, very good. So
yeah, that's on my list to watch the new one. Now,
Kevin Smith.
I watched He-Man, and I really like He-Man, but for me personally, just He-Man was like, I don't know, like just a notch below the ones I mentioned. Just for me, like in my terms of like my fandom for them, because I had, for me the G.I. Joe Transformers 1A 1B. Then I really love Mask, and I love Thundercats, and
I agree.
He-Man I liked, but I never. Maybe it's just because, like, as opposed to the other ones, like I didn't have any toys or collectibles for them. Like I had a shit ton of G.I. Joe, a lot of Transformers. I had a lot of Mask actually also, and I had a few Thundercats actually, and I had a bunch of Voltron stuff too. But He-Man, I don't know. To me, I may have had 1 or 2 He-Man figures, but I enjoyed the show. I think Skeletor is up. If we were going to do a Mount Rushmore cartoon villains from the 80s, him, Cobra Commander, Megatron. They're all up there.
Thundercats. Yeah.
Oh, Mumra. Oh, God,
yeah,
yes.
Mumra. Listen, I agree with you. So here's the thing about this is what I agree with you on. So if you really want to go premier and like what really pops, right? And from a toy line, G.I. Joe toy line. This is great because you have all the military vehicles and their toys are posable, right? They have the bendable arms, they have the bendable knees. Transformers, I mean, what's not to love? You can freaking take a robot and turn it into a freaking vehicle, a plane, or whatever, right? Mass, they do the same thing where you take these vehicles and they turn into a different like vehicle or whatever. It's like with this one, this is interesting. So like, do you remember like the old LJN figures that came out like with WWF? Like the WWF came up with those one-dimensional figures. You couldn't move anything. They were just like these big things of rubber, right? Yep. So He-Man, to that extent, is kind of the same thing, except you can move their arms up and down and their legs bend, but they can't bend in the knees. They can't bend in the arms, which back then, that's how toys were until G.I. Joe actually started, right? That's G.I. Joe, I think, would be the first niche of bendable, like, holy shit, this is badass.
Yeah, because you had Star Wars, but they were not as posable.
They were the same thing. Star Wars was just straight, like almost like He-Man, where they just did the one arms and the legs and they moved. And then when it got to the torso, they were dead. So the thing about this cartoon that I love, it's not so much about the He-Man and the Masters. It's more about how they built the storyline around the mythology of it, with Eternia, the sorceress, Orko, the freaking flying magician. Like there's a good character base in this and a good outline of story base in it. And to your point, Skeletor eternally wanting to rule Eternia. There's just good mythology in it. It's almost like a great value cartoon version of like a Game of Thrones set in this other world that's goofy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just something about it that caught me, and I can't really explain it, but I just loved it.
The world building. That's what it is. Like, as much as you shit on Potter, but that's one of the things I love about Harry Potter's world.
No, but I can understand He-Man. I can't understand Potter.
I know you can't understand. like here's a shit take. Like I actually kind of like the Avatar movies because of the world building in it. Well, you know what? If you listen to the latest episode of Mount Rushmore, Chad actually is kind of similar to me, where it's like if you go on Flights of Passage, the ride down at Disney, it will give you a different view on Avatar. But we're not here to talk about Avatar. I'm just saying that for me, like, so like world building, like, as somebody who loves imagination, just thinking how people have thought shit up, like, oh my God, how did this person come up with that? For people who come up with these worlds and these things. I'm just always like on board with them because it's just everything you have to do to like make it where people like us are still talking about it 40 years later, right? It made such a mark on us because it wasn't. Yeah, He-Man was cool. Prince Adam transforms, Battle Cat, all that other stuff. The whole whatever Rogues Gallery or different heroes. That it's really the world building that meant so much to us.
It is, and it's all about Prince Adam, the kingdom, Eternia. It's like a whole like mythology. It's cool.
Yeah, and a cheap plug for if you haven't watched Toys That Built America, they do cover a lot of He-Man. And I forget the episode, but there's actually I think it's almost full He-Man.
Yeah.
And also I think the Toys That Made Us on Netflix also had a He-Man episode.
How could you not? He-Man was one of the most popular brand of toys they did, like in the early '80s, like to such a high degree. So.
And also the fact that they were like a bigger figure, like that's the thing.
Huge.
Like this was one of those things, and I think the FCC like kind of went against this later on. But these were toys. The cartoon exists because of the toys. Like it was made by a toy company, and they're like, well, how are we going to market this? Well, if we come up with a cartoon with a whole story and Castle Grayskull and the whole thing, then we could sell more toys. So
and the Castle Grayskull itself was an amazing toy, like just huge. And then the Battle Cat was awesome. Like there's just so many. I mean, we can get into the cartoon. I'll get into thoughts on the mythology and how He-Man becomes He-Man, and there's a lot of Superman tropes in this cartoon, and I'll leave it at that. So
and they're releasing new figures too, like they're basically like remakes of the old ones, but just a little bit better quality. I guess now.
Yep.
So, all right. So, just give you a brief synopsis if you're not as familiar with He-Man and you're listening to this. So, the series takes place on Eternia, a planet of magic, myth, and fantasy. The character is Prince Adam, the young son of Eternia's rulers, King Randor and Queen Marlena. Prince Adam is also the twin brother of Princess Adora. Whenever Prince Adam holds the Sword of Power aloft and proclaims, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power," he is endowed with fabulous secret powers and transformed into He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe, together with his close allies, Battle Cat, who undergoes a similar transformation from being Adam's cowardly pet tiger, Cringer, the sorceress, Teela, Man-at-Arms, and Orko, which I have an Orko pop figure, very cool. He-Man uses his power to defend Eternia from the evil force of Skeletor. Skeletor's main goal is to conquer the mysterious fortress of Castle Grayskull, from which He-Man draws his powers. If successful, Skeletor would have enough power to rule all of Eternia and possibly the entire universe. Now, there is a huge list, like, if you could think of, like, what, it's like kind of like similar to G.I. Joe. It's like, okay, well, this person specializes in this, so let's get a guy that, is built like, a little brick shit house, and we're going to call him Ram Man. Let's get a guy with different, can change his face, Manny faces. Like, it's just amazing the kind of the rogues gallery.
Even on the other side, Evil Lynn and Beastman, like it's like the whole thing is great on both sides.
Yeah, no, it's so awesome, and then it also becomes a thing like you want to like collect the figures, and you want to do this and you want to do that with all these, these things. So yeah, He-Man it's tremendous. So Shawn, we're going to live watch 2 episodes right here. We're going to talk about them as we go. So which is the first one?
All right. So the first one we're going to watch is called The Shaping Staff, and is actually the second episode ever that aired. So I like this one because this is where the whole concept of this one is funny as hell, because when you have a kingdom, right, you typically have a kingdom that has knights and all these defenders and castles, but you'll see early on in this episode how easy it is for Skeletor and his people to infiltrate, and that's why I pop big for this one. This one's pretty funny. So,
all right, so this is on YouTube. He-Man, I think, is available for purchase on Amazon Prime and Apple, but we're too cheap, and YouTube is free, so we're going to do YouTube. We may have a whole
channel. It's called Masters of the Universe. It's a great channel, and you can watch all the He-Man you want. So,
all right, and we may have ads. So if we get ads, we'll talk through them, and we'll keep going with our discussion. So I'll try to see if I can put the links in the show description. That way, people know exactly what we're watching. Okay, so Shawn, are you ready to hit play?
I am.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we get the Filmation Presents.
So Andy, you got to talk about this. Is like an iconic open. Like, Like the logo is here and the music's here. Then you got freaking Prince. What's interesting about Prince Adam is such a dork. Yeah. And like they go overboard on the whole Clark Kent thing because you look at this guy, you know for a fact it's He-Man. It's kind of like with Superman when he has the glasses, you know it's fucking Superman, but everybody's stupid and can't figure out who it is. It's like dumb. Like that just always strikes me as funny.
He doesn't get any bigger either.
No, no. And the whole transformation is so, like, I love the whole transformation where he holds the swords up, they show in front of Grayskull, and then he goes to Cringer, who's a big wuss. Like, this whole opening scene is just iconic, and they must play, like, every episode they do this, like, twice, which probably cuts on back, like, 2 minutes of cartoon time they have to do, because they show the same scene multiple times every episode. And then they do all the intro of all the players here. And by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, this one we're watching has closed caption on your YouTube. Yes. This one. So
I have the closed captioning up. Yeah, Sorceress said, not for nothing being 11 years old watching this. I have an ad now, of course, already. I have a Disney Plus ad for whatever reason. Oh, skip.
All right. So this one was written by Paul Dini. You know who that is, right?
No.
He's the one that also wrote the majority of Batman the Animated Series.
Okay. Yeah.
So a very, very famous cartoon writer here. Okay. And this is Ultimate Filmation. Like if you go back, like I don't know how familiar you are with Filmation cartoons, but one of the things I always loved about Filmation is like you see how he throws the rock and looks so like realistic, right? But what they do is in this animation is they have this like certain scenes and like things that their characters do in their other cartoons. That all they do is wash, rinse, repeat, and take the same cartoon cell and just make it the person so they don't have to wash, rinse, and repeat in all their cartoons. That's why you see a lot of repetitiveness. Like the way he just looked at the camera there, it's all repetitive.
So, yeah. I mean, also, I was going to say, like, when it comes to, like, Sorceress and Teela, they're kind of sexy. Being a kid.
Spoiler alert, our next episode, the next episode we're going to watch of this, spoiler alert, did you know that the Sorceress is Teela's mom?
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. We're going to talk about that on the next cartoon we're going to watch after this one. That's why I picked that one. Kind of scandalous. All right, so here is the kingdom, right? So this is what I was talking about. Like they're all at dinner. Orko is kind of like the court jester magician where he does like tricks for them when they sit around like the dinner table. But literally, it's Man-at-Arms, it's Teela, it's the king, the queen, and it's Cringer, and it's Prince Adam. Like, where are the knights? Where are the where is like all the people defending the king here?
I don't know. They know they have He-Man. That's why I don't think they need.
Okay, but where's He-Man? Like I don't get it. Like, how do you not know your son is He-Man?
I don't know. I mean, Cringer does do like quite the transformation.
Cringer, I get right, but He-Man.
I guess maybe because Prince Adam is kind of klutzy, and
how about that hair?
Yeah. Oh God, very Prince Valiant hair.
I think that's what they were going for, though.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'm a big Orko guy. Like Orko is a cool character. Orko didn't exist in the toy line before they put him in this cartoon, I believe.
Yeah, he came along. Yeah, his toy, it took a while for his toy to come out. I mean, now, like I said, like I have a pop figure of Orko in the other room. But yeah, he's one of those standout characters. He's not as annoying as like Snarf is from Thundercats, but
no, but he plays that role, right?
Yeah,
that's his role.
He plays that sidekick.
The other thing is Prince Adam's mom is actually from Earth, so he's from Eternia. So he's got a combo of Eternia and Earth in him at this Prince Adam.
Oh, so he's kind of he's almost like Star-Lord, I guess.
Yeah, he's like Yeah, that's a good point. He's like Star-Lord. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now we got Orko casting some kind of spell here.
Yeah, but here's what's going to happen. This is going to be funny in a minute.
I gotta be honest, it's been a long time since I've watched an episode of He-Man, so
Orko spells don't typically work, but now we have this beautiful woman that just pops out of nowhere, which, again, if I'm the king, I'd probably went, oh my God, I have this intruder. The other thing that's really funny about this is, like, if you look at her, like, right away I know this is Evil Lynn. Like, even if I didn't watch the cartoon, I know who this is. That's just infiltrating my castle based on how she looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she looks like a villain.
Yeah, she straight up looks like a villain. But it's Evil Lynn, and again, this is what's funny about Filmation, is they totally took some kind of cell of Evil Lynn, and all they did was just make it different. It's like Filmation. You can do a whole cartoon pod on just Filmation cartoons. Are you familiar with a lot of Filmation?
I'd have to look up.
So, did you ever watch the Brady Kids cartoon growing up?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, there was a Batman and Robin growing up that Filmation did. Like, all their animated stigmas are the same. So, as we're watching this, I'm going to pull up Filmation so you can see it. But ultimately, in this episode, what happened is Orko is doing his thing, and now they have this whole magician person that showed up, and she's about to do this magic trick. And she creates this big box in the middle of the room. Like, again, there's no guards, there's no nothing here. And now she's going to get the king to actually come in and go into this box because the king's a freaking moron.
Of course he is. That's what they always are. So I'm looking at Filmation here. List of works produced by Filmation. So let's look at this. So we got New Adventures of Superman. I'm familiar with that. Superman, Aquaman. That's a little before me. Batman, Superman Hour. I do remember.
That's the one. Batman, Superman Hour was a big one.
Sabrina and the Groovy Ghoulies. Yes, I remember that. Fat Albert and the Cosby
Tarzan
Kids.
one too.
Oh, Tarzan. I love Tarzan when I was a kid.
They were Tarzan. And if you think about I want you to watch He-Man. And I want you to think about the Tarzan cartoon when you watch some of his movements, because you're going to see, oh my God, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
This is not your king, by the way. So what happened is the king went in the box, the king has disappeared, and now who's sitting there is actually Beastman, but you don't know it yet.
Oh, okay.
That's, like, if you watch the subtitles in this, like, totally nicely done, fool. You really ruined everything. So this is where Orko discovers what's happening.
Because there's always a plot,
There's always a plot. So basically, the shaping staff, the way it's called as, because the shaping staff can turn anybody into who they want them to look like.
Ah, and that He-Man transition was very similar to Super Friends right there.
Yeah, so they do that. So they have two transitions in this cartoon. One is the spinning sword, and the other one is the actual He-Man logo. So they have two different transitions.
Oh, okay.
Star Trek, the animated series, you remember that?
Yeah. Remember that.
That's Filmation. So if Flash Gordon cartoon, that was Filmation.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Evil Lynn and Beastman. I think I had a Beastman figure. I think he was one of the few I had. He was probably the main bad guy besides Skeletor that you saw the most often, I think.
That is correct. Him and Evil Lynn are the main two cohorts with Skeletor. But yeah, soon he's going to hand us over. Like she's talking about, so Skeletor's her master. The king is in a prison cell, and they basically made everyone in the kingdom. And oh, look at that! They just turned the king into a goat.
Yeah.
Pretty random thing to turn him into, but
yeah, like why a goat of all things? I don't know.
And Beastman is kind of an idiot, so they always treat him kind of like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's kind of like the stupid, Hyde.
He's more brawn than brains, really.
Yeah, like you just saw, like he just got outsmarted by Orko of all people.
Yeah, how do you like lose a fight to Orko basically?
That staff is pretty iconic looking staff too. It's like your typical now I think she just turned Orko into a cricket or something.
Yeah, she did.
Yep. Or turned Orko into a cricket. And there's that sword. Boom. I always love that spinning sword transition. By the way, I do have the He-Man sword in my basement.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
I have the He-Man sword and I have the Thundercat sword because they're iconic swords in the cartoon.
Oh, the Sword of Omens. Come on.
Yeah, the two big icons there.
I have the Thundercat sword, but it's a small one with a line-up figure.
No, mine has a button on it where it lights up the Thundercat logo in the center of it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we have Skeletor here talking to his henchman here.
Skeletor is pretty scary dude too. For a kid to see that guy, it's pretty horrifying.
Yeah, just like this buff body with like the skull for a face, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like I said, he was up there with Cobra Commander.
Yeah, I think probably top two. Easy for me.
Maybe Megatron also.
Okay, top three.
Yeah.
Megatron's iconic. But then they went to Galvatron after that. from Megatron.
Yeah, kind of crapped the bed after that.
Yeah, they crapped the bed on that. Although that Transformers movie is actually an incredible movie. Very good.
But you could also say the same thing about, Cobra Commander when they brought in Serpentor, which I didn't hate, but I don't know. He just made Cobra Commander more.
I always liked Destro more than I liked Cobra Commander.
Yeah, Destro's the man. Zartan,
rebel badass, right?
Zartan was really my favorite bad guy.
Ah, yes.
But anyway, so yeah.
So this is the second time we've seen this scene. You see them walking?
Yep.
This is the second time. Like they do a lot of repetitiveness in their animation.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got to keep costs down. And I have another ad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I skipped it though, so I'm right.
Now you got Prince Adam. Good thing. Wow, Prince Adam laying in bed wearing a wife beater.
Well, that's what a young guy in attorney is going to wear, right?
Well, I would have thought Cringer or something. I love the touch lamp, like the circle lamp. He just touched it and it popped on. I would have thought Cringer would have slept at the end of the bed or something.
Yeah,
that's what my cat does.
God, I remember when those touch lamps came out in the '80s, like for reals.
Oh, there he is, passed out on the floor. Oh, there's Orko the Cricket coming to tell Prince Adam what's going on. So Orko knows who. Like I think Man at Arms and Orko if I recall, are the only two that know he's He-Man. Oh, and a Sorceress. The Sorceress does too. Like Teela doesn't know, and his parents don't know.
Yeah,
as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I think so. That was pretty. I think they kept it pretty quiet,
But Cringer, yeah, pretty good character. And there you go. This is another scene you'll see 1,000 times an episode. Yeah. Wear the same clothes every episode.
And now he
It's still pretty iconic, though. It's kind of cool. It's an iconic scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's cool about cartoons is they create iconic moments. Like, for me, this is an iconic moment. It's kind of like you said with, what was it? We were talking about the pivot where they do the breaks between scenes. What was the one you brought up earlier?
Super Friends.
Yeah, Super Friends is the same way. So there's just certain things in the 80s that are iconic that some of these cartoons have.
Yeah. They no matter where they are when he transforms Cringer, it's the same scene.
Battle Cat is horrifying. Like Battle Cat's scary as shit too, Andy.
Yeah. Battle Cat was pretty awesome. That was a cool playset if you got Battle Cat because you could put He-Man on him.
Yeah, and then Skeletor had was it Panthro? I'm trying to remember what his name. It was a Panther, but I can't remember what. But no, Panthro was Thundercats. Yeah. What was the name of?
Oh Christ!
Oh, I got to look up Skeletor's because Skeletor's was purple and was pretty cool shit too.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think the thing about Battle Cat was really it's that mask that makes him more menacing.
Oh, it's horrifying. It's like scary as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to look up Skeletor's cat. Why do they both got to have a cat?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah. What is the name of Skeletor? Panther. That was his name.
Panther. Yeah.
Skeletor's evil feline companion, a giant purple panther who serves as an evil counterpart to Battle Cat.
Well, everybody needed like that arch nemesis also a lot of times on these cartoons.
Yeah.
Kind of like how the Super Friends, everybody had like their arch enemy.
Well, on the Challenge of the Super Friends.
Challenge Super Friends.
Everybody's arch enemy. Some of them weren't necessarily arch enemies. They were just there by osmosis, but it's kind of like with Batman. Like, how do you pick the right arch enemy? It should be the Joker, right? But I don't think the Joker was even in it, was he?
No, he wasn't. No, I think it was Riddler was in it.
Yeah, the Riddler was the main one, but you should have had the Joker. That's a bigger main, right? Oh my God, she turned He-Man into gold.
Wow.
Oh, and now they just captured the frog.
Yeah.
They're taking over.
Yeah, they're infiltrating.
I mean, I won't lie. You talked about Sorceress and Teela being hot. I would take Evil in too.
Oh yeah.
Just because. Oh, I won't get R-rated on this show, but we're gonna go with that. I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
I mean, they're all pretty buff, no matter what.
She handles a good staff. I'll leave that innuendo. That's pretty scary. He-Man with like this. There's a lot of freaking like scary elements here.
Yeah, a lot of sorcery, and Skeletor he's evil. He
wants Grayskull. He wants the Sorceress out.
Yeah.
And he's got the iconic voice, kind of like Megatron and Cobra Commander have their iconic voices.
Yeah, that's the same high pitch, like that kind of.
Yeah. And Mumra has an iconic one too. That's scary. Mumra used to scare the shit out of me on Thundercats.
Yes. Oh yeah.
He had a good rogue gallery too. Yeah. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Sorceress with their little eagle head, pretty hot.
Oh yeah. The fact also that they, wore boots and all that stuff, which today would be like, sexy Halloween costume on any woman.
Yeah, I dig her getup. And then so she's being lured out by He-Man, who's under the control of Evil Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that battle. I'll take that.
Yeah, I pay an admission fee for that. Evil Lynn versus Sorceress.
I sure would. I'd pay for something. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, it just seems like the bad guys are just getting over on everybody here.
But they do. I mean, it's like a common theme in the episode. They'll get over on everyone, and in the end, the massive face comeback. It's like wrestling. It's like
You got the heat segment. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the heat segment, and then you got the comeback, the hot tag or whatever.
Yeah.
And Evil Lynn, even the innuendo with the ram horns surrounded her chest. It's like, what are we doing? It's
oh boy, He-Man's still in there somewhere.
Yeah, He-Man's just sitting there with his Aquaman-like ability coming out of his forehead. Those little signal things Aquaman used to have to call the sea animals. That's what's coming out of He-Man's head right now.
That sorceress turned into an evil tree from Shrek or something.
Yeah, the sorceress has turned into one of those trees from the Harry Potter movie or something. I don't know.
That's the Whomping Willow. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I see there. Oh, and now she's free.
Yeah, because He-Man gave her that Jedi mind trick or whatever he did.
Now they open He-Man up like a golden chocolate wrapper.
Yeah, that gold broke up very easily.
Yep. And there he is, those running scenes of He-Man. I love this so much. Now it's He-Man versus He-Man. There's that role. You'll see that role a lot. The Filmation stuff takes me out. Because I'm so familiar with it. I'm like, oh yeah, I saw that in Tarzan. Oh yeah, I saw this scene in this one. I saw this fist pump. This punch he just does. Go back and watch Star Trek the Animated Series and watch Captain Kirk do that. It's so great.
I mean, Disney does the same thing too. There's a scene from Winnie the Pooh that is shot for shot in the Jungle Book.
Yes, correct.
So yeah, He-Man's hanging off the edge here, fighting evil He-Man.
So here's the thing. So here's a Filmation trope, right? So bad guys develop an evil plan. The heroes are needed, but always absent or taken out. But in the end, they always come back, and sometimes they're clumsy and stupid about it, but they always win in the end. That's a typical Filmation trope.
Well, it's typical 80s cartoons. It's very, unless it's a two-part or multiple part, the bad guys never come on top.
Oh, Andy, they had live action. So tell me if you remember these shows. Do you remember Jason of Star Command?
Yes.
Space Academy?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, so they had a lot of those. They had those shows. The Groovy Ghoulies.
Yep, remember the Groovy Ghoulies.
Yep, they'd had the Groovy Ghoulies.
That's in the cartoon tournament, which I hadn't plugged yet.
Yep.
We're doing the greatest cartoon show of all time, and I'm already angry about some things.
At one point, they took over the Mighty Mouse and Heckle and Jekyll show, and they also did a Tom and Jerry show as well.
Oh, okay. Yes, you can definitely see the difference. I remember Tom and Jerry has a couple of different styles that you could tell who did what.
Yeah, the animation style is just very niche. You could just who it's from if you're into that,
Yeah. So, looks like He-Man's gonna go and break the staff there, and everybody's free.
Yup. That's as I said. The heat segment's over. Now it's time for the comeback shine. And now Evil Lynn's turned herself into a winged snake or whatever the fuck that was.
Oh god, yeah, like a fly. Oh god, that's an ugly thing that she's slithering, flying away as.
And there's Skeletor throwing his little baby hissy fit like he does almost at the end of every episode. And now we're going to all wrap it up nice and tidy, back in Eternia, back in the kingdom. And by the way, we still don't have added security, even though we got infiltrated pretty easily.
Yeah, they got in there and took over pretty easily. And if it wasn't for the bad guys being as inept as they are in the end. Also, the fact that Cringer was green and orange was pretty cool at the time.
Correct.
It was like, oh, look at this tiger, but he's not.
And so the other thing about the end of every episode, so G.I. Joe always did the more you know.
Yeah.
These always have a thing at the end too. So sometimes it's a different. I think for the most part, it's always Orko. But they take turns of who's going to give the PSA at the end of every episode. So yeah. I think this one's going to be Orko. And this one, I'm going to laugh, Andy. I'm going to tell you when we start this PSA. So here's your PSA.
Okay.
In today's story, I'm going to read it verbatim for you, right? In today's story, you saw what happened when a stranger comes to the palace. She turned out to be evil and dangerous. Of course, turning people into animals is only make-believe, but there's nothing make-believe about how dangerous some strangers can be in real life. Never accept any food or toys or money from a stranger. Don't even talk to them. And no matter what, a stranger may never go away with them. Terrible things have happened to some kids who did. The smart thing is just to walk away, or in my case, just float away. And there you go. That is it. Look at that. You see how my narrative ended right on that? That was boom. Look at that.
Yeah, that was some damn good narration there, Pete.
Yeah. So that's the end of the first episode, and yeah, so a lot of stupidity. You learn some lessons, and you get some good action sequence and some good face heat shine.
Yeah. No, it's the lore really that does it. So, and
100%.
And the fact that you start expanding, that way you keep the episode somewhat fresh because it's always going to be different. I mean, there's, like we said, like Beastman and a few others and Man at Arms are kind of staples. Right. The most common, but then you introduce one here, one there. It's like, G.I. Joe did it, Transformers did it, everybody kind of did it. So, all right. So that was the first episode. So, Shawn, what is the second episode we're going to watch?
All right. So the next one we're going to watch is called Teela's Triumph. And I want to say this is episode 108. So we're jumping into the future a little bit. Obviously, we said episode 2. Now we're jumping all the way to episode 108. And one of the cool things about this show is the lore. And I think I said on the first one of the lores that you find out early on, and there's a whole narrative in this series around this, because there's another episode called Teela's Quest that is early on that kind of folds into this one later on. But you find out that in Teela's Quest, you find out along the way that the sorceress is Teela's mom, which ultimately means Man at Arms and the sorceress are, I don't know if they ever vet out that they're husband and wife, but they obviously had intercourse and had a kid. But so back then, like as a kid, you're like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. It's kind of like, it's like you don't hear about stuff like that. So they worked it into the lore. It's almost like Darth Vader is Luke's father. It's kind of a similar thing, except they're both good people. You know what I mean? So I wanted to watch this one because this one is about, like you see Teela training under her father. And, you kind of get this whole thing around, there's a scene in here, a couple scenes in here with a character that looks like the Vision from Avengers. So I just thought this would be cool as shit to watch. So. All
right. So it's Teela's Triumph or Teela's Trial?
I think we're doing Teela's Triumph.
All right. Teela's Triumph. Okay.
Yeah. Teela's Triumph.
So I'm paused at 2 seconds. So whenever
all right,
you're ready.
Let me get mine loaded up real quick.
So, yeah, I think also, for me, I think He-Man was on earlier in the New York area. I think He-Man was on like 2:30.
So mine was 3:30. I'm ready to go.
I'm trying to remember. It was either that or it was 3 o'clock. It was always the first one because I always remember the last. Actually, no, I think it was Thundercats was on first, and then you had
Thundercats was 4:30 for me.
Yeah, for me it was G.I. Joe and Transformers were 4 and 4:30. So
my main issue was I always had to split between channels because you had Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, and Thundercats were in the same 2-hour block.
Okay.
In the same channel. On the other channel, like GoBots, which was like Great Value. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I had to switch over, and then Voltron was on the other channel. Like it was just hard, man, back in the day to like really watch everything because they were all on at the same damn time.
I know, and it was like one of those things like, oh, this one's a repeat, so you can flip over to the other channel without having
yeah, and then they would write out. So what you would do is once they played out, like if you were smart, what you did is Did you start the episode yet, or do you want to hit
No.
start? So let me know when you're
ready.
ready.
Whenever you're ready to start. Okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. So the cool thing was, like, in the day, once you figured it out, like, most of these animated shows had 62 episode runs in an afternoon block throughout the year through the school year, right? So then all summer you'd get the repeats, and then they wouldn't launch their new episodes till September, which usually was a block of another 62. So what you could literally do is watch everything during the school year, but then during the summer you could catch up on everything else you missed because you had already seen the other ones on the other channel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of times funny is that you think of these cartoons, you think back, and then when you realize that some of them did not have a lot of episodes.
No, but
you look at like Dungeons and Dragons, 1 season. Mask only had like 3 seasons. So,
but they had a lot of episodes. Like Dungeons and Dragons was Saturday morning, so they were limited to like I think 13 episode seasons, right?
Yeah.
But like Mask, I think their block was like 64. I think G.I. Joe was like 64 block. Like, so think about how much animation they did to get 64 episodes on Monday through Friday, September to. I think it was like September to almost a December run, and then you had all repeats all the way until the following September.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a powerful block right there.
All right. So we've jumped ahead quite a bit here in timeline, and you can definitely see a little bit of difference in the animation off the bat, too.
A little bit of difference in animation, difference in how Eternia looks a little bit here.
Definitely multi-plane camera usage here.
Yeah.
See that.
Yeah, I mean, the Eternia Dome looks like at Madison Square Garden a little bit. Teela is there. You see Teela there sparring with her dad, and they're giving Adam a ton of shit for being late.
The thing about Teela's outfit, I always found it interesting how it hung down her midsection, the brown part kind of thing.
Uh-huh. What I also find interesting is Prince Adam is clearly carrying He-Man's sword, but nobody seems to really notice. I don't know. Yeah. It's weird. But yeah, Teela's that little brown section there hovering over the fupa or whatever you call it. It's like, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how many hidden innuendos are in these things at the end of it. Hey, look, there's the Vision.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So this is what do they call this guy? He is I don't I try to figure out what his name is. Spirit. I think they call him Spirit. The Spirit is what his name is. He's like the advisor or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess since she's the mom, I guess Sorceress, I guess we would say is a MILF, right?
Yeah.
She's a MILF.
I would say so. So here we go. We got looks like a skeleton.
I love the Snake Mountain too. That's pretty badass.
Yeah. Skeletor, now is like, the kids know him today as a meme.
That is correct. They sure do. He's a great meme, by the way, too. And he's still, okay, now you got Lockjaw, right? Or is it Trapjaw? What's his name? I can't even remember this guy.
Yeah. I think it's Lockjaw.
It's Trapjaw.
Oh, is it Trapjaw? Okay.
It is Trapjaw. So he was always the one that was a secondary next to Beastman as the second runner-up goon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he kind of looks like reminds me of Frankenstein Jr. I don't remember that.
Correct.
Cartoon.
So basically, in the last episode, they wanted to kidnap the king. This one, they want to kidnap the sorceress, is what they're doing. So she's out for a flight. She wants to go see her daughter because she hasn't seen her daughter in a long time. And I don't think at this point that Teela knows that the sorceress is her mom yet.
Well, no, because she said, I long for the day when I can tell her.
And when a sorceress turns into a bird, the name of the bird is Zor. That's what they call the bird, is Zor.
Zor. Okay.
Zor. Yep.
So she gets hit with a raid. She gets sent to another world.
Yeah. So it's basically, she just got displaced in this whole other world. And as you can see, it's full of active volcanoes. And who's going to find her at this point? She's all alone. And you got the episode kicked open right here. The bird's just flying around for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. And we go back to our training sequence here.
Which we already saw once because they just duplicated the same damn scene.
And I can see Adam and Cringer are really working hard here.
He-Man's just staring at Teela's ass. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, that's a very common pose too that Teela's in now.
That's what I'm saying, man. They're all common poses.
Mm-hmm.
But their animation, but that's the whole thing, is the animation is kind of stunning, right? It's like it's very realistic. It's very like flashy. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll still go with animation in like a Transformers or G.I. Joe vibe because it seems more like, I don't know, it seems more involved, but I still think it's stunning in some of the way the characters move and look and feel sometimes in this show. Like even how they laugh. Filmation, the way they laugh, they always do that big chuckle fuck laugh where they lean their heads backwards. That's like almost all their cartoons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could definitely see it's probably because this existed, first as a toy line.
Correct.
So they didn't have the, that's really what the motivation was. It wasn't like, we want to make a cartoon. I'm sure the artists worked very hard and all the people, the writers.
Oh, they 100%. I mean, the artistry in this is very comic book. Like you could take that spirit head right there and go, holy shit, did the guy who draws the Vision, is that who did that? Because he looks just like him,
Yeah.
Like I think their facials are good. I think their costumes look good. The spirit right now is telling them that the sorceress has disappeared and the Grayskull is empty.
Oh, so it's kind
and he's asking Teela to take her place.
And she's like, "Why me?"
Oh, Man at Arms just kind of plays dumb. Like does Man at Arms like I can't remember Man at Arms realize if he remembers the story. He's got to remember the sorceress is the mom, right?
Oh, would you forget hitting that?
I mean, it depends. Was I drunk? What are the situation and what's happening around that situation would be a big question for her.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have to be drunk to be in that situation for her because she's MILF.
Yeah, basically.
It's not like real life where I've been in situations that I don't remember, but clearly it's because I don't want to. So
yeah.
All right. So here you go. Here's that typical He-Man pose.
Mm-hmm.
I've often wanted to count down the clock on this to see how much of the shows get caught up with the same scene over and over again because you have it in the opening. Like the opening itself takes a couple of minutes. Then you got this whole scene that takes at least another full minute. So I would probably sit there and say every episode, there's got to be research on this. Every episode probably has about 15 minutes of original animation versus like this scene right here where he stares at the camera on the cat. Like
always the mount up on Battle Cat. Always the same.
All the same.
I know what got me was why was Cringer always afraid to be transformed into Battle Cat?
I don't know. Maybe it hurt. I don't know.
Could have been.
Maybe it's I don't know. I don't know. I don't have. That's a great question, Andy.
We just had a hug between Teela and Man at Arms. I don't know what's happening there.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, it was definitely not a romantic hug.
And I do love like how they do Grayskull, where it's like you're looking up at it. That's also a cool visual. Like it's like up there, and you're like staring at it from the ground, right?
Yeah. Well, Grayskull's actually like kind of like its own character.
Yes.
I mean, in order to open it, you need the swords, and you need to turn the sword a certain way in the toy line, at least.
And the spirit, I don't remember the spirit being really a part of the whole toy line dynamic, but again, they just create this whole world, and it's just really cool, really cool.
Yeah.
But I can't get over how much this guy looks like the animated Vision or the comic book version of Vision.
Or it kind of looks like something like Superman 2 or something on those heads. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great. Yes. See now, Andy, I can't stop looking at Teela without looking at the freaking hang down fupa. Oh, and I forgot Battle Cat actually talks too. I forgot about that.
Well, Cringer talks.
Yeah, I know, but Battle Cat is just like the scary creature, so seeing him talk is really weird for me.
Yeah. Hanging out on He-Man's little ship there.
And the ship, I mean, let's be honest, the ship looks very hokey. It's not like a G.I. Joe line. It's just like this big freaking oval with wings on it. That's really what it is.
Yeah, it's basically like just like loose sand speeder.
Which they probably charge like $30 a pop for in the toy line.
Probably, Of course, Lord knows how much it'd be worth today.
Yeah.
And I forgot Lockjaw has a whatever his name, Trapjaw, whatever the fuck his name is. He has like a hook for an arm.
Yeah, he's kind of mishmashed. There's a couple other guys. I can't remember his name. There's one guy who his eyes rotate and he has like one eye and he's like, I forget what his name was, like Triclops or something like that.
Yeah, he also had like not Merman, but it was something like that or something. He was another one they had. I was funny. It's funny. There's this guy that he used to work, in my building, and every time I would see him, I was like, he was built like Ram Man. like
Ram Man was cool because he had like a little coil in his head.
Yes, like and the toy. I remember. I think I might have had or somebody I knew had the figure, and yeah, you push him down, and bam, he'd jump up.
Oh shit! He thinks he just killed He-Man. Look at him.
Oh, look at that.
The end of He-Man, and now is He-Man transformed to the same world as the Sorceress? Looks that way, doesn't it? Yep. Why do the volcanoes look like they're like literally a pothole versus like this big huge thing you need to be? They're so tiny.
Yeah, they're just like blowing smoke. Like there's no lava going anywhere except for up.
Exactly. All right, so he's got Grayskull now. Oh, Teela's still in there, but she doesn't have any idea why she's there. Oh, clear your mind, Teela. Think of nothing else. So, they're doing like the Jedi bullshit with her.
We've had a few Jedi bullshit here.
This is only the first step. You must master the crystal in order to see the past and the future. There's some freaking weird shit going on here.
I get a feeling like it'll get revealed to her like how like Luke revealed to Leia, like my father has it.
Oh, mother.
My sister has it.
Yes. Oh, mother, I had no idea you were my mom.
Skeletor wouldn't dare come inside. Well, if he knew Sorceress was gone. Yeah, Skeletor ain't busting in unless he knows he can get in there.
So basically, I think I remember what happens here.
As badass as he is, he's also partially a coward.
Oh, Skeletor?
Yeah.
Well, he's also kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, let's be honest. Cobra Commander was stupid too. Like I think out of everybody who wasn't stupid, Megatron, I never came across to be as stupid.
No, he just had stupid people around him.
He was a vengeful fucking robot, but Cobra Commander straight up was an idiot in the cartoon. Yeah. Like, I always thought that Destro was better than him. Like, Cobra Commander is just a guy with a complex. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Destro, Baroness, they all knew what was up.
Like small D complex or something, He's got to make it up somewhere else. It's not the same voice. Maybe it's a trick. I know how to tell if it's a real source. I love Teela. You know what's messed up? Teela's in the outfit and her forehead looks so gigantic in it.
I know. I've just noticed that now.
The forehead just took me out. Because they legit made an effort to make it not look like her, but to make it look like her. And that's like a good detail I think they just did there. So what we've learned is, because she still had the crown on her head. That's a really good detail, Andy. They did really good with that. Like, someone actually animated and said, okay, we have to make her forehead look a little bit bigger because she still has the crown on her head. Oh, there's a Teela. And I love the way they run and they turn around and they look and then they squat a little bit. You'll see that in every Filmation cartoon too. They do that a lot. I don't know what the deal is with the look and turn and the squat. They always squat like they're going to the bathroom.
Yeah, I never got that either.
I want you to listen. What I want you to do after we record this, at some point, I need you to go back and watch another Filmation cartoon, and I want you to pick out the same scenes in the cartoons that you saw in this. Just pick a random episode. It doesn't matter what you pick. Just a random Filmation. Like go back and like do Tarzan or do the Star Trek one.
God, that Tarzan show is one of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons.
It was a fantastic show.
I protect those who come here. I am
like it was Tarzan and the Super 7. That was one of my favorite shows. The Super 7 was also Filmation with superheroes, but they had like a whole hour, Like he looks very unintimidating when he runs sideways, by the way. It's like, what did they do to this poor guy?
It's like he looks like something you find in Sid's room in Toy Story.
Yep. And now he's an idiot too. They're all idiots. Like they're all a bunch of idiots.
Well, I guess they couldn't be smarter than the kids watching.
Yeah, now he calls the father, Man-at-Arms. Man-at-Arms always took me out, too, because that helmet made no sense. It almost looks like... He looked like he was a member of the Monkees wearing a helmet. Because they all had that hairstyle where the hair... like Prince Adam's hair, but with a helmet,
Yes.
And they never take their clothes off. I mean, he obviously had to take his clothes off at some point because he's got a daughter. I don't know.
It kind of reminds me of like...
Oh, wait. There it is again. The run, the turn, the squat.
The turn.
There it is again. There it is. Oh, wait. Now it's her turn. Hey, Andy, your cat's snoring away again.
I
love
know.
the cat. I love the cat in the background. It's popping me.
Yeah.
What are you watching?
It's not a pod with me unless I have an animal making noise in the background.
No, it's taking me back to some of the old days.
For Toby or
just a
Toulouse.
different animal. Just a different animal.
Tim used to pop every time Toulouse would come and meow on the pod.
Oh, we have to make Tim watch. We have to make Tim listen to this one so he could pop for the snoring cat on He-Man. It's like Cringer sleeping at the bed or something.
Yes, basically. He's the size of Cringer, actually,
Yeah.
this cat.
So is mine. My fat cat's 20 pounds. So.
Oh, he's like more than 20 pounds. He's like 24 or something.
So why is she still a bird?
I don't know. Maybe that was the form that she got sent over in.
Or is she like frozen in that form? Or
It could be. Maybe when she was zapped over there.
Or maybe she feels safer in bird form because she can move faster, maybe? I don't know. Oh, look at that face.
Yeah, she looks pretty scared as a bird.
That's a horrifying face.
Yeah.
Andy, I hear your cat. I thought you were like I thought you were like busting some wind or something.
Wouldn't be the first time I busted wind on a pod, but no, it's not me this time.
The cat's amazing. Oh, look, this guy. Look, He-Man is Professor Xavier because he can telepathically commute.
You know what He-Man reminded me of actually when I was a kid? He was like a cartoon version of Beastmaster.
Oh, no doubt. And Beastmaster. Well, wait. Well, what came out first, He-Man or Beastmaster? Because Beastmaster came out in '82. When did the toy line come out?
Oh God, probably around the same time.
See, I'm gonna have to look because it's very similar. But you're right. They should have just made a He-Man cartoon with the Beastmaster in it, or a He-Man movie with Beastmaster.
With Mark Singer.
So what came out first, Beastmaster or Conan?
I'm looking it up right now.
Because they both came out the same year.
All right, so Beastmaster.
82.
82.
Yeah.
So, and then
Conan came out in 82.
Yeah, Conan came out in 82. Yeah, Conan 82. Yeah, so that's what. Yeah, because remember the Beastmaster cartoon had that, that tiger, that black and gold tiger. It had the bird. It had. So maybe there was
had all of it. Maybe there's some
inspiration there.
But I think the toy line came out. See, now we're gonna now we got to do this. Now I got to figure it out because that's gonna drive me nuts. He-Man toys. I'm just gonna put it in here because I would think the toy line had to come out way before this did.
I think the cartoon might have come out first because to support the toys, because the toys it would have been an unknown entity. It wouldn't have been based on any IP like G.I. Joe. I think the cartoon was out first. They were Transformers.
Oh, no. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Masters of the Universe is a toy series created by American toy manufacturing company Mattel in early 1981.
Okay.
So the toys came out in 81.
So they need the toys in order to sell. They need to have the cartoon to support it.
So that would predate Beastmaster.
Okay. Huh.
But maybe that was the whole niche back then, like the whole barbarian sword, like that was a whole thing back in the 80s. Like remember they made a movie in Excalibur 81, like the whole
10,000. What was it? What was that caveman movie? Ringo Starr.
Correct.
That fucking movie.
That's another movie, and I don't remember when that came out. Was that 82? Crawl, the one I can't remember. Crawl. Yeah, when did that come out? Was that 82? Because they're all similar.
Yeah, they're all. It was a very interesting period of time for these kinds.
It was
of
very into the sorcery. It was very into this kind of stuff.
It was 83. Dungeons and Dragons was really starting to become a big thing. You had the Dark Tower game that came out. I mean, sorcery and mythology.
So it all adds up.
Yeah.
That's all right. So here we are at the end of the episode, by the way, and now Sorceress is just, it doesn't confirm it's her mother, but just telling her, hey, you're the right person to sit in my chair. Doesn't give her any explanations why. Just said, hey, you know what, you're the right person. I mean, if I were Teela, I'd be like, well, why the fuck was I the right person? I don't understand. So I don't get it. She goes, I don't get it, Mom. Oh wait, you're not my mom. I can't say mom yet because I don't know that.
We need somebody whose ass print fits in the throne.
That's pretty much your ass is matched up. So
Yes, that's matching asses. That's what we always strive to have.
Yep. All right. So, all right, I'm going to get ready for my moral read here in a minute. It's coming.
Yeah. I think you should end all your pods with a moral read from now on.
Well, I don't have a lot of morality, so I probably shouldn't do that. But now there's this whole moment, you're very special, blah, 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 and they're probably going to hug, and then they're going to go right to the moral of the story.
We need somebody like Mark Poirier to do that, since he's the purest person we probably have.
I actually got to meet him.
Yeah, I met him years ago at a tailgate that we were both at but didn't meet.
Oh, look, the sorceress is crying, and now she's hugging Teela, but Teela has no idea why this woman's crying.
Why is this woman...
And that ends the episode. So here we go. You ready for this? Man at Arms. So today, we learned that sometimes our responsibilities can seem to handle too much. When a job seems bigger than we are, it's easy to be discouraged to give up. But sometimes if you really try, you can do it. When you come right down to it, there's only one thing others can expect of us, and that we can expect of ourselves, to do our best. See you next time. That's the ending that he just did. I was a little fast on that one. Man at Arms was a little slow.
I still thought it was a quality read.
So and that's the other thing, is I can watch these episodes and I can pretty much tell you what the moral will be at the end, because they always have something in them. That was a big thing for them to do back in those days too, man. They always had, the Transformers never had a moral or end to a story.
Super Friends did, though.
Super Friends did. That's right. They all did that because that was a big, don't do drugs. And it was just always a thing back then, because the 80s was really big because all the kids in the 80s were too influenced by bad shit. So
yeah, well, we had the whole Nancy Reagan thing, and
you had the whole Different Strokes episode about the bicycle guy.
Oh, yeah. That was the time of very special episodes.
And you can do a whole pod on just very special episodes of the 80s if you really wanted to.
We could call it a very special podcast.
A very special podcast. That's right.
Damn it! Nobody out there steal that.
Nope. Trademark it. Quick.
Yeah. Me and Sean could probably sit there and in a span of an hour come up with probably 100 pods if we really try.
About pop culture and old TV, forget about it. I'd never have any, if I could just retire and just do those kind of pods, I'd be a happy man.
Oh yeah. But you know what? I'm a happy man because you came back to join me here on Cartoons, and I know you'll be back again.
Oh, I'll 100% be back for sure.
Oh yeah. So, but before we call it a day here, talk about what you've been up to, because I've been talking about you guys a bit, saying got this great group of guys that you all know and love. They started their own feed. So why don't you talk about kind of what's going on at the Backbone Wrestling Network? All
right. So the Backbone Wrestling Network has actually been kind of in the works of the pipeline for a year. It kind of started out like a joke where, in separate chat, we would be like, we should do our own feed and try to figure out how to do it. And it was always a running gag of, do we want to do it? Do we not want to do it? And then we all got together at WrestleMania weekend in Philly. And it just kind of came to fruition. And we decided, hey, we have a couple of new pod ideas we want to do. Can we take some of the existing shows? Because North South had a bunch of different shows, and they were kind of overridden a little bit and had a lot of product. And then Place to Be had a lot of wrestling shows. It's like, okay, so what if we take a couple shows from each feed? We integrate a couple of new shows on this feed, and we come up with the Backbone. And what the Backbone started as a running joke. The name of it is funny because we used to make fun of Logan all the time because it seemed like Logan was on every pod in the universe. So we always made fun of Logan and used to call him the Backbone because he's on every damn pod. So that's where that name actually came from. But we kind of liked the name and we kind of ran with it. So we came up with the Backbone Wrestling Network, and we have 5 days a week. Literally, we have a wrestling show on. We have 2 free days where we were like, well, if we want to do something special or if there's something that we ended up wanting to do, limited series or whatever. But ultimately, we have a 5-episode run every week of wrestling shows. So you have from North South, you have Lincoln Up Lucha that covers Lucha Underground. That's come over. You have New Gen on a Mission that's come over. And then you have Territorial, which is my pod, which I do mostly solo, where I go back and look at old wrestling feuds or whatever. And then from Place to Be Nation, we brought over YouTube Roulette, and we brought over Highway to the Impact Zone. And then we have other pods. A new pod I do with Keith, the Shit Take, where each of us pick a shit take and make fun of each other for it, because shit takes are always fun, and I'm pretty much known as the king of the shit take, like Logan's known as the Backbone. And then we also have another new one we do called Hidden Gem, where we pick a bunch of matches that we consider hidden gem and we talk and debate about them. So ultimately, it's just a bunch of guys who have done pods together, who have has grown a friendship over the years due to meeting because of Place to Be Nation and this whole family. And we just go out and do pods and have fun doing pods and don't stress over it. And it's really a good stress relief. We just have a lot of fun doing them. We don't take ourselves too seriously. So if you just want to go and have a good time, have some fun with a group of guys, it's just going to sit there and have a good time and have fun and tend to make fun of themselves too. It's a really good thing to listen to if you really want to just like, if you just really want to like stress release and have a good time and have a lot of fun. It's literally like a bunch of guys sitting at a bar shooting the shit. And that's why we do it. We love doing it. So that's the Backbone. So please go listen to the Backbone Wrestling Network. We're 2 months in. We're doing pretty well, but could always use the plugs and more people to listen and share it, Andy. So
yeah. No, I plug you guys as much as I can. You guys I've done tons of pods with a lot of you guys. I think you're doing great stuff over there. I try to listen to Shit Take. When I'm working, and then ultimately somebody will call me on Teams, and I'll be like, oh man, what the hell? So, but always happy to help and support. And so over here on the Pop Experience, so we got lots of shows here. Every weekday, it's the Video Jukebox on a Day, dropping at 8 a.m. Right now, it's just me and Steve Riddle, but hopefully maybe we'll get some people into the mix here. Every other week is a theme week, so it's a lot of fun there. Let's see, I got the Pop Goes the Classics. We just dropped a new episode last week. That was Chicken Little. And that's me, Steve, and Miranda. Our next episode is a very underrated, kind of almost not forgotten, but a lot of people don't talk about it, film, Meet the Robinsons. So I'm really looking forward to that. Miranda's a huge fan of that, so she'll be in the driver's seat for that episode. Miranda and I will be back with the Muppet Pod. We're still making our way through season 2, leading up to our live watch of The Great Muppet Caper. And then what else we got? I got, Laugh in Theater, Blockbuster Rewatch. Those will be back here and there when I have time and have guests. I think Steve is going to be doing Rogue One with me. We'll see about, getting more people for Laugh in Theater and more episodes of this very cartoon pod. And check out everything else we have here on this feed. And also, speaking of wrestling, we try to keep it at a monthly, but sometimes it's every 6 weekly. Who's Next? That's myself and the aforementioned Logan Crosland, where we break down current day NXT, and it's a lot of fun. We'll probably have a new episode within the next couple of weeks to kind of talk about the build and subsequent, event of Heat Wave and then the fallout from that. Because, NXT right now is pretty exciting because of, the kind of the new class coming in, because we kind of had some graduates go up to the main roster. So there's some new faces, some new feuds. We've had some amazing crossovers. I mean, I don't watch Impact only because, I don't even know where it is on my cable system. And my kids have been telling me about Joe Hendry, and you guys have been talking about Joe Hendry, and I popped big time when Joe Hendry showed up for the Battle Royal, so that was pretty cool, and also Jordan Grace. So yeah, lots of fun stuff, and like Shawn said, check out what's going on the Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network, as well as the North-South connection on both their their podcast feed and YouTube channel. So yeah, a little something for everybody, lots of great stuff. And again, this was a blast. I hope to get back and do more pods with you, Shawn, and maybe, at some point get the band back together, at least to do a special here and there between you, myself, Schiff, and Tim. Because, what's happening, later this month, the KCU is returning.
Mm-hmm. The KCU on July 18th, I believe it's coming back.
Yes, the part one.
Part 1, 5 episodes, yeah.
Of the 3-part final season of Cobra Kai.
I bet this season is going to be absolutely ridiculous.
It's going to be batshit crazy.
Because they're batshit crazy, and yeah. And we got Comic-Con coming too, by the way. So
yeah, so maybe, just maybe, we'll have a little pod special after Comic-Con. We may actually, maybe we'll either do it, we can maybe wait till after D23, see if there's any announcements there as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, should be a very interesting summer. Because
should be.
Yeah, because we're getting news about, they're shooting a new Superman movie right now, so that's going to be starting that new DC universe. We got kind of I don't know what we would call it, a kind of a restart or a kind of a back to basics with the MCU, because they have to kind of there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go but down after Endgame. And I have, I'm a bit more forgiving just because I don't have the comics.
It killed a lot of love. Listen, Pop goes to the couch, Pop goes to the basement, whatever the hell we called it.
Whatever we called it.
whatever we call it. Like, it's a great show, but the problem, like for me, and I think for a lot of us, is when to your point, it's like once you got through the initial shows, and then, like, I think the last real good one for me was Hawkeye, right? And then Moon Knight, and then Miss Marvel, and like it just seemed like they just lost their way. So my hope is, like, they have a new Daredevil show they're doing. Like, again, we could talk about this all day long. My hope is we are getting, like, it starts with Wolverine and Daredevil, and then we just go from there full on. That would be my hope for the MCU. Because I have high hopes for DC based on James Gunn for sure. So you never know, Andy. It could be a pleasant surprise. But then Marvel wants to do Fantastic Four, which I'm going to shit on no matter how good it is. So.
Of course you are. You're going to shit on Superman.
I won't. Listen,
in some way, shape, or form, you're going to.
I've become a fan of Superman lately. You know that. I've shared that with you guys. I've been reading the updated comics, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But I am intrigued. I will say this. I'm more intrigued about the future on comic movies and shows than I have been in a long time. So
yeah, Moon Knight, I think, killed
Moon Knight just killed my will to live.
killed Populous to the cows. It was a lot going on, though. We were like, look, it was the pandemic, and we were getting out there a lot. But it was fun, though. Look, we made the best of a bad situation, and I think back that's like the best part to come out of the pandemic was all the pods and all the shows and all the fun we had.
A lot of the stuff that's going on right now is because of that time frame, for sure.
Yeah. So silver lining, Betty. All right. Cool. So that's going to bring it into this episode. I want to have a big thank you to my friend Shawn Kidd for coming back, and for everybody out there, go grab yourself a bowl of your favorite cereal, plop yourself in front of the TV, and watch some cartoons. We'll see you on the next episode.